So I threw in full size here, which is not a good idea because I've seen these so many times. Just weak open like this, morning panic, recovers and squeezes higher, and this is what killed me. What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy Alex again with another banger of an episode. Now, after last week's pretty terrible week, this week has been my best week by completely doubling my profits that I've made in a single week. So it's been pretty crazy, pretty excited, and let's get right into it. But before we do all that, I need my cup of joe. And this week's cup of joe is brought to you by Mr. Happy Mug, because this week is a happy week. By the way, I made these mugs, a set of 3, back in high school in my pottery class. So I got this one, which is a happy one, and then I got like a grumpy one, and I got an angry one. So I guess I'll just kind of use whatever mug fits the week, you know? Okay, so what made this week absolutely killer? That's because my mindset has changed. So if you guys remember from my February recap, I said that I wanted to not focus on the money this week, but really focus on just trading well. And that's what I did, even though it's such a hard mindset and shift to make when, trading is really all about making money. But when you allow yourself to kind of get your emotions involved in such a way where it really forces you to take trades that you shouldn't be taking, and every single day you come into the market, and that's kind of all that's running through your head is, hey, I gotta make my money this today. I gotta make it, this week, this month, whatever. And when you do that, you don't make good decisions. It just does not work. I've tried it so many times where the weeks that I really care about making the money the most is my worst weeks, and that proved to be, last month and last week, and honestly, my whole, basically, full first year of trading, it was always all about money, and that's why I ended up losing $12,000-$13,000 at my lowest. Because of that, I was so determined to make it as a trader, and which is a good thing to have that determination. But when you're driven by greed every single day in the markets, you are gonna absolutely destroy yourself. So if you're struggling with that, make that just shift where you don't care about the money. It's all about trading well. And so my hope for next week as well, and every week after, is gonna be just to really care about the pattern and the trade that I'm taking. Alright guys, let's get right into it. I'm really going to be trying to kind of keep these videos a little bit shorter because I understand that 20 minutes is kind of long. I really want to try to push for about, a 10, 12 minute video. The other thing I did want to mention is that this week I started a new account, and I funded it with $1,800, and basically this account, I want to really try to get good at long. And the reason is because, one, it's cheaper. You don't have to pay the borrow fees for, going long a stock. And 2, you can make a lot more percentage-wise off each trade than you can with shorts. With shorts, you can average, 10, 15, 20% off a trade. But when you go long, you can make 20, 30, 40, 50, sometimes even 100% of your money if you're playing the right strategy. I did start a new account, and it's actually with F1 Trader. And the reason I did that is because I think they're the rebrand version of Shirt Trader. If you guys know, Shirt Trader closed down. And so they don't enforce the PDT because they're an offshore broker. And basically, that's kind of what I was looking for, so I can trade as many times as I want. Okay, so also, the reason I don't do live charting when I go over my trade recap is because when I run Stocks to Trade platform as well as my screen record, it lags or it crashes all the time, so it's kind of difficult for me to be able to do both. So that's why I just have screenshots. But I'll try it for this video again and kind of see if it holds up. And if the fan starts going too loud or it just crashes, I'm just gonna stick and go back to my screenshots. But here's my first week of March. So this was the 2nd through the 6th. As you can see, on Monday I made $36. Tuesday I didn't trade. Wednesday $505, Thursday $411, and Friday $405. So, but I traded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stocks. That's quite a bit for me actually, and that's again because I'm starting a smaller account. I'm trying to take a little bit more trades and kind of experiment and learn how to go long. But for the week, I made 1357, best week yet. My previous best week was the first week of February, which was 736. So basically doubled my profit for best week. So as you can see here, this was BIMI on Monday, and I lost 20 bucks on it. But basically I was trying to, as you can see, it's been a pretty big runner for a couple days, and generally this is more of a short pattern if this does bounce here. However, I did want to see if I can give it, try to catch the bottom or some of the, the beginning of the bounce and kind of play it into a spike. So this is the day of the gap on Monday. As you can see, a gap and then a kind of, got pretty well, but then it sold off. So I was gonna try to play it for like a bottom bounce. Honestly, this was actually probably a bad decision, just because you never want to try to guess the bottom because it can always go lower, and I'm just not very good at dip buying, so this was probably not a good place to start trying to learn lawns. Either way, I basically got in here, right here, thinking that this would end up, squeezing at least maybe to high of a day or something and cut it there. But it didn't, and then just kind of dumped on me, so I just sold it for a $20 loss. The other one I did play, which actually worked out much better, was HTBX, and that was in the afternoon. And this was a good runner this week. A lot of opportunity on HTBX on both long and short side. As you can see, it's from basically 20 cents all the way to $1.25 in just a couple days, so that's a really big move. But the day I tried to go long was on Monday. So I made $56. My entry was 74.9. Exit was 80.5 for basically 7.5% win. And I was just looking for that kind of breakout into the afternoon. And those are really good patterns. Those are actually that's a very consistent pattern. But this is that day. So it spiked in the morning, pulled back, consolidated. Then it kind of pulled back harder. But in the afternoon, it held its lows and then kept going up higher, and then it started grinding and squeezing. And so after I saw that it broke high of day, I was a little bit late to the party, but I still played this right in. I got a bad entry though because I played it into a spike instead of waiting I guess for the pullback or whatever. But I was kind of excited to learn these. But anyway, I got in here. I held through this dip, really thinking that it's going to go a lot higher because I had so much volume. This was a lower flow, and then I just sold into this spike here. Total for Monday came out to $36. Tuesday didn't trade. I didn't have any trades left. That was before I set up my small account. So Wednesday I traded DYNT. So this was a great trade. So I made $505 on DYNT. So my entry was 2.3. Exit was 2.1 for an 8% win. Again, I was shorting this, and basically I was just playing a bounce short. Clearly, here on the 28th of February, this had a $8 million share run up to 370, and completely came all the way back down pretty much. But then it bounced, and so on Wednesday I was just trying to play it off the resistance levels, but as you can see, the day before I started kind of grinding up, and so my goal was to try to play it into resistance the following day, looking for a morning spike. It did that pre-market, and then it came all the way back down, so I was thinking, hey, this is probably on the backside of the move. So after I saw this morning panic, I was like, okay, this is probably backside, but I still needed to be patient and wait for a very good entry. I started seeing it bounce, and yes, I could have made an argument about getting into here, because in hindsight, you don't know if it's going to keep squeezing, right? However, just because it was so far down already from its high, I thought maybe this is like a bottom, and I just wanted to really be patient and be confirmed that it's going down. So it ended up actually breaking high of day and made a second squeeze, and so I got into the squeeze and covered down into this pullback crack for 8% win. So that was a really good trade. Everything worked well. I was very patient, which is kind of my biggest thing right now, is just trying to stay patient with these trades and not getting into early. Because if you get into early, then you're it's just so much more stressful, because if it keeps going, even if the trade, you have high conviction the trade's going to work, you have to sit through like a loss or you're gonna have to cut it. And you know, that's just a very stressful situation that you really want to try to avoid. Thursday, this was a worse trade on IBIO. I made $411 on it, but I was not patient, even though I was very convicted that this trade would work. So my entry was 2.41, exit was 2.27 for a 5.81% win. Again, this is a very good trade that could have doubled my profit. I could have made $1,000 easily on this if I had been patient, but I wasn't, and I paid for that. So if we look at the daily, you can see it ran to 340 in a couple of days on 250 million volume on its biggest day. That's insane. Like that's a lot of volume. So that's huge resistance. So clearly, like a very great bounce short once the opportunity does come. And as you can see here on so this was Wednesday, it started bouncing, and on Thursday it got really close to the resistance. So this is the day I shorted it. And let's get into the daily chart, or into the intraday chart. So pre-market, again, ran basically very close to resistance, and then it failed. And so this is where I just got very impatient with the trade. Here in the morning, it panics from 255-ish all the way down to 220. And I'm like, crap, I just missed the move. I should have gotten in pre-market. And then it bounces on this minute here, and then it kind of looks like it might top out. And so I threw in full size here, which is not a good idea because I've seen these so many times, just weak open like this, morning panic, recovers and squeezes higher. And this is what killed me, because I got in at 240, 241, which is literally right here, and it squeezed to 270, and I didn't cut my trade because, one, I was emotional, and two, because like I really thought that this would work, you know, and it did. But man, this was probably like at its highest point, I was probably down $1,000, so that was really bad. Terrible entry from here. Like this is like a 15% squeeze on me. So if I had waited and got in like 260 to 65 and then covered here-ish, you know, at 220s, man, this is like a 15%. I would have made like, I don't know, $1,300 on this. So if I had been patient. So that sucks. So I really want to work on my entries in the morning, because this happens so often, and I just need to be aware of that and just to be patient and kind of, I think I'm going to start waiting for red minute candles first. Like even if I get a worse entry, at least I'll know for sure that, hey, this is the bounce and it's done, instead of like, hey, this is bouncing but it could still squeeze, you know. So those are two different things. Friday was another great trade. VTIQ for $400, entry 13.93, exit 13.225 for a gain of 5.07%. And again, my percentages are lower this week, and that's because either I'm playing higher price stocks, or I just not having the best entry on some of those, or the support was just a lot closer. Regardless, this was a first red day setup. This is one of my favorite setups, at least in this hot market. I actually wasn't sure how good of a setup this would be, because this was an acquisition with another company, so it's kind of like a fresh chart. But you can see here on the daily, it ran, you know, on that day they announced it from like 10.5 to, and then it ran to $16. So I was looking for the first reversal, and so I played it on Friday, which was the 6th. So you can see it ran from here all the way to 16, and then on this day, so this is kind of what what's called like a pre-red day, where it like basically just squeezes as much as it possibly can, but then it kind of just closes very like low off its highs from 16, and it closed at like 14. So it pulled back pretty hard. As you can see, this is starting to kind of roll over. So this is kind of the top of the move. So when it gaps down the next day, and this is the day I played it, I was just looking for a spike into resistance, or a clear sign that, hey, this isn't going much higher. But anyway, I waited in the morning. It spiked to like 14.30, And I just waited for it to kind of come down and crack this 14 level, because I mean that's just kind of a whole dollar level, and that's kind of a significant area for most people. And so once it cracked there and it couldn't really squeeze back up, I got in full size here, and at like 13.93, and then cover. My goal was to cover near 13 bucks, and it cracked all the way down to 12.75. So I covered at like 13.20 something. So it just looked like it was bottoming here. As you can see, it kind of was stagnant, or didn't really do much here, and so that's where I covered. Unfortunately, I missed another like 5% of the move, which sucks, but you know, it just happens to be that way. This was a good move. It did recover though really well, so I'm very glad I covered, because I would have given back everything I made, all my profits, and maybe I would have cut for a loss here for, you know, when it broke 14 again. But it did come back down, so this was a good trade. So overall, this has been a pretty great week for me. I only had a bad trade on IBIO on Thursday, and that trade, it still worked out very well. I was just early on it, and so if I can keep this kind of consistency going, where I'm focusing on the pattern and the chart and price action as opposed to trying to make money every day, man, sooner or later, these days are going to be like $1,000 days. Thanks so much for tuning in for this episode. Hopefully this will be a little bit shorter. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel, guys. Like this video, leave a comment. And I hope you guys have a great trading week. And I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.